Yeah, g'day guys. Today I'm going to refine this gold, show you another way to precipitate it. Now before I continue, one of my viewers, Raymond in particular, has said that I'm not giving you guys a true reading, a weight of the gold, because there's always some gold left behind, like this little cup. Just if I can get it out one-handed. This little cup that I used to dry the gold in. Okay, yes, there's a little bit in there. I doubt very much there's enough in there to even register on the scale. And he thinks that basically I should just collect it in a filter and then actually melt the gold to show you how much I get. Now I understand where you're coming from, Raymond, but it comes down to cost. Okay, I'm not getting paid in any way for any of the work I do. I don't get Patreon. I don't get anyone helping me financially with the channel. Even though I've enabled super likes and super comments, it never happens. I don't sell any merchandise. Basically no income at all. There's nobody supporting my channel financially. So just like where I use my acids to the very end until there's nothing left of them to save cost, I also don't melt little bits of gold like this, and especially dirty gold. It hasn't even been refined yet. I'd rather wait until there's a fair bit, refine it to its prior 999 and then melt it. It's just like this little beaker that I was using. There's a little bit of gold still in the bottom there, and that would have also counted towards this weight. Plus there's gold stuck to the beaker, and I was originally using a much taller beaker before I poured it into this one for convenience, and that beaker also has gold stuck to the beaker. So in this refine, I'm going to be getting that gold back and the other gold in the other beaker by putting aqua regia in and dissolving it all. When I'm dissolving this gold, it'll also dissolve the gold on the glass. This pipette, which I was using to suck the water out of the little basket, has now got gold inside the pipette. And there's nothing I can do to get that out. So this will go in my paper storage and it will be treated along with that. Now, Raymond also mentioned, yeah, you're going to put stuff in your paper storage, but that doesn't help us now to know the full weight, the proper weight. So basically there's not a lot I can do about that when I'm doing small amounts like this. I apologize for anybody who would rather see a total true account of how much I get, but this is just how it is. If I had money coming in, I could afford to do small amounts. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay, so that black bottle that you can see there, it's only a small bottle, is my oxygen bottle. That cost me $79 every time I need a new one, and they don't last very long. The canister next to it is my LPG gas bottle. The cheapest I've been able to afford to get those is $30. Most places are 36, 38, something like that. And again, they don't really last all that long, especially when you're wasting it, using it for things that you don't need to. So there's like $100 just there to use for my LPG oxygen setup. If I was to try and use MAP gas, these are $15 a canister, and I'd be lucky if they last an hour at best. And my gas burner has crapped it out. I can't adjust the speed on it anymore, the amount of gas. It doesn't ignite anymore. Sometimes it ignites, but usually it doesn't ignite. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work. And these are $80. So, I can't turn the volume or the gas down on this, it's seized up. So I have to go full bore, and if I was to try and melt gas gold powder with a flame like that, it's just going to blow it all out of the dish. So when it comes to melting gold, I need to make sure that I've got a decent amount and pure gold before I waste my gas and oxygen to do so. I'm better off refining it until it's pure, and then melting it into a nice gold bead, rather than melting it into a dirty gold button that it's going to have to be refined anyway. It's just easier to leave it as a powder and refine it as a powder. So that's why I don't melt small amounts for you guys to see the true weight. Again, I'm sorry if that bothers anybody. Unless I can get some sort of sponsorship or people supporting my channel financially, it's just how it's got to be. Alright, so let's get on to refining that gold. Okay, I don't normally like using dirty beakers, but as I said, both of these beakers have got gold inside them, mostly this one, but I'm going to use them to get the gold back off them. And before I precipitate the gold, which is the most important part, I'll use a clean beaker for that. So, time to put my gold in here. And some hydrochloric acid. That's plenty. The fumes will go up the sides of the beaker and will dissolve the gold that's on the side of the beaker. And once I've done this one and it's got the gold off, I'll pour it all into the bigger one and do the same with that. So now get some nitric acid. I won't need much. A drop like that. And always come back and put more in later if I need to. You never want to put too much nitric in. I know I say this in all my videos, but there's still way too many people out there showing videos of pre-made aqua regia. It's annoying for me and annoying for my viewers who have trouble getting the gold back and can't understand why. You need to have small amounts of nitric at a time. For now, I'll take this beaker out. I need space on here to put a lid on, because I need the vapors to build up in there so that it will collect on the sides, otherwise it'll all just come out the top. So I'll find my lid, it's around here somewhere, and we'll get this happening. So I'll put it on, so it doesn't need to be very hot, half strength, and I'll come back when it's dissolved. Alright, so this is why we use a catch pan. I put the solution in there, walked away, and it had a runaway reaction and just made a mess everywhere. Luckily, it's all caught in the pan. So now I need to get it back out. I should have used the bigger beaker to start with, so I'm going to put some hydrochloric acid in here. A little bit of nitric acid to form aqua regia. That's more than enough. I'll have to probably denox it later. Give it a good mix up. Pour a bit in here, and with paper towel start cleaning. If it won't come off straight away, just put a bit of heat on and it will soon absorb all that gold. So I'll begin by cleaning this lid if I can. It's all pretty dried on there. I may need to put this in the solution as well and just let it boil for a bit. Same with this. And it's going to take some cleaning. Now I'll leave that in there. I'll pour the rest of this in and I'll put it on heat, and I'll come back to it every so often and move it around, give it a chance to do its job. Put it on low. Okay, as you can see, it's mostly gone yellow, which means that the gold has dissolved. There's a few parts where it hasn't. The paper that I was using is pretty much all disintegrated, so I'll get some more. I'll give all this a wipe down. It doesn't matter about this paper, I'll put that in the solution as well. Now I may need to put a little bit more nitric in here. Try not to, because if I use too much nitric I'm going to have to denox it. As it is, I may have to anyway, because I think I've used more than I need. But given that some of it's still brown, there might still be some undissolved gold. It should all be nice and clean by now, and it's not all quite clean. There's still a bit on the side. Most of it's coming off. So if you get yourself in this position where you had a boil over and it's all gone dry like it was, don't stress too much. You won't lose the gold. All that would happen is the liquids evaporated. The gold is what you saw burnt on the dish. So the gold would stay there. The gold can't go anywhere. It just means that you've got to rehydrate it, which is what I'm doing. So most of this is ready to go, and I'm just going to try and rinse off this container, this beaker. This beaker's mostly clean. For the little bit that's still on there, I'll just keep this beaker aside and I'll give it a wash later. Not wash with water, but some more aqua regia. It's only the tiniest little bit, so actually I think there's still a bit of undissolved gold, as you can see here and around there, so I'm going to put just a tiny bit more nitric. I'm probably going to have to denox anyway, so I'm at the point where I'm just going to use as much as I think I need to get the job done, and denox if need be. That's no big deal. Normally what I would say is use only what you need so that you don't need to denox, but this isn't a normal situation. So I'll give this a rinse off. That's pretty much clean enough anyway. And that's done. And this beaker, now that I've got more nitric in there, should help get that off the bottom there. I'll just let that sit. Squeeze some more into here. That's enough. Now this brown stuff that you see here should all dissolve. Just rinse my hands off, get all the aqua regia off my hands. And I'll put it back on the heat because I turned it down before so I could work with it. I think it just needs a bit more heat, and now that I've put more nitric, there's a bit of brown here, should all dissolve, as well as what's in the beaker. I'm aiming for all of it to be yellow, and once it's all yellow we'll go from there. So now it's just a waiting game to see if it all changes, which it should. And I could have not recorded all this and just cleaned it all up and acted like nothing happened, but I like to keep my videos real, and it's a fact that this happens to everybody. Eventually someone will have a boil over, so I'd prefer to show it and keep my videos real. I'll be back when it's ready for the next stage. Okay, so I thought that all of that brown part would be undissolved gold, but I've put enough nitric in there to dissolve twice that much, and it doesn't seem to want to dissolve. So it might be dirt, rubbish, somewhere's coming from, whatever, I don't know. I'm not going to go putting any more nitric acid in there. There's way too much in there now. So The bowl's clean, which is good. All the brown that was stuck to the bowl has come off. So now I'm going to turn the heat off. Excuse me. Turn the heat off, and I'm going to put all that into this beaker, the bigger beaker. Let it cool down, and then be ready for the next step. We're going to filter it. Alright, so I've got all the solution into the beaker. Now it's time to filter. I've only got that sitting there for a second because I want to show you this. I've got a really clean beaker. I don't know if you can tell, there's sparkling clean. It's really important when you're dropping gold because you don't want to introduce any impurities into what you've just gone and refined. So I've got my filter ready. And you can see down the bottom there's a pile of paper pulp and all sorts of stuff from when I was wiping out the bowl. I'm going to get all that out, but before I refine it, before I filter it, I need to denox it. Denoxing is something I don't normally need to do because I use incremental additions, meaning I put in just enough nitric to do the job. But in this situation, as you saw, I had to keep adding nitric because I was trying to dissolve all the brown bits that were in there and so on. So what I've got here is Scalex Heavy Duty Home Descaler. It's like it removes calcium, lime, rust, super concentrates from and so on. So it's put it in your washing machine, your dishwasher. Helps to get rid of scale. It actually contains sulfamic acid. I don't know if you can read that with the GoPro, but that's sulfamic acid. Now you'll see on a lot of other videos that they use urea. I don't like urea. Okay, you might see it work for other people, but it can cause problems, and it doesn't actually denox your solution. All it does is change the pH. Even though it may do the job, it's not really denoxing it. And I've spoken to far better people than me who are in the gold refining forum, the goldrefiningforum.com, and they don't like urea. You know, these guys are experts and they've been doing it for a lot longer than me, so I tend to believe what they say over what some YouTubers done putting in urea, and usually they're Indonesians that put way too much nitric in the first place and need to denox, and they're not somebody I want to follow. I'd rather follow the experts. So it's your choice, but I don't use urea. I always use sulfamic acid. Or what you can do is evaporate it down to a syrup, or like I did where it dried out. All I really should have done when it dried out was put hydrochloric acid there, no more nitric, because I would have driven off the nitric and it would have been denoxed. But because I was still trying to dissolve more of the brown, whatever was on there, I did put nitric in there. So if you want to denox without using anything, just evaporate it down to a syrup, or if it dries out, you don't really want it to dry out, but if it does, it's not a problem. But try and go down to a syrup and then put more hydrochloric in, only hydrochloric. And then if you want to, you can evaporate it down to a syrup again and then put more hydrochloric. You drive away the nitric acid. So I'm going to put a tiny bit in. Now you want to do this slowly, because if you do have a lot of nitric acid in there, you get a violent reaction if there's lots in there, and you might overflow. Stupid aeroplane. I'm in the flight path and they make a noise when they go over. Alright, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit. I don't know how over nitric this is. You see a tiny bit of reaction in there. Now, if I give it a stir, I'm only going to stir up all the paper pulp, and then you're really not going to be able to see what's going on. But it wasn't a violent reaction, but a little bit more. And that's just all paper pulp stirring up now. I'll give it a stir with a stirring rod and call that done. And all this rubbish now we're going to filter out, all that paper pulp and everything. I need to squirt that down. Right. So now it's time to filter. See if we can get this on a better angle. Now I need to rinse this beaker out and get all that out of there. I'm not actually wearing my chest mount, so I need to shut the camera off for a second while I do that, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so now I just got to let that filter. Now I was surprised to see that I hadn't actually over nitric as much as I thought I had. If anything, there was barely a reaction in there. So I'm usually pretty careful about putting too much nitric. It's a waste and I don't like wasting it. Those people on other channels that pour pre-mixed in and then need to denox, they must buy it for $1 a litre or something, because I can't afford to put that much in. It's just a waste. I know a lot of you guys have trouble getting it or pay too much for it. Alright, so now let's let this drip, drip, drip. So going through very slow because of all the paper pulp. I could have just poured the solution through and then let the paper go through last, but it doesn't matter, I'm not in any hurry. It's actually going to be roughly 39 degrees here today, which is around, I don't know, 105. I'm out here in the morning early before it gets too hot, so I'll just let this go all day. I won't be coming back out again today. Maybe tonight if it cools off, but I doubt it. So most likely tomorrow I'll come out and go to the next step. I'll have to come out and give this filter a rinse tonight. Once it's all drained through, I'll rinse the gold juice out of the filter, but that's it. And the rest of it I'll be doing tomorrow. So unless that's if it doesn't come out crystal clear, then I'll put it through the filter tomorrow again. But at the moment it's looking really clear. If it keeps going like that, we're going to be happy days, happy days. Okay, so I'll leave this be, and next time you see, we'll be ready to do the precipitation. A little while back, I know a couple of months ago, maybe a bit longer, I did a video on precipitating gold with vitamin C tablets, and since they were chewable tablets, not soluble tablets, they didn't really, it worked, but it didn't work as well as I would have liked on video. The color change wasn't instant and so on. So I've managed to find some vitamin C powder, and now that this has been filtered, I'm going to use the vitamin C powder to precipitate the gold. So I'll just grab a spoon and the powder. I'll be back. Now before I put vitamin C powder in there, I'm going to do a stannous test to make sure that there is gold in solution, which I know there would be, but it doesn't hurt to check. And it's taking its time going black because there's not much in there, as I said to you in the last video. There you can see it's a positive. So going by that, I shouldn't need much more than maybe 1 spoon. It's a very fine powder, and it can be either put in dry or dissolved in water. If you're doing it in a windy environment, I would suggest dissolving it, because it might just blow out of the spoon as you try and put it in. And it should see a pretty instant change colour, and give it a stir. There you go, it's already changing. what I'll do is I'll give it a minute or two. There's a nice brown now, and just give it a minute or so, and then I'll give it a stannous test to make sure that I've got it all out. If I need to put some more in, I'll put some more in a minute. It's a nice dark brown now, that's good. Alright, let's see if we've got it all. It's pretty hard to tell. It's already dark. I'll have to tear that bit off and wait a bit longer, I guess. Wait for it to settle. Make sure it's all properly stirred up. Some of the gold's already started coming out of the stir rod. Well, after you let this settle for a bit. So it's the next day, and there you go. There's the gold in the bottom. If you're wondering how that happened, the vitamin C has ascorbic acid in it, and it's the ascorbic acid that makes the gold powder drop. So what I want to do now is a stannous test to make sure I've got it all out. So sorry about the view. Get a piece of paper out of my container, a clean one. That one was used. I don't know how that ended up in there. If I can get this camera to stay where I put it. And we'll dunk this down into the solution, and it's still showing up black because it's got particulate all through it. So that's no good. What I'm going to need to do instead, because there's a golden suspension all through it and it's showing up on the paper, is to filter it and catch the gold that way, and then the hopefully clean liquid that comes through, I'll then test it to see if there's any more gold in solution, and if there is, I'll put some more vitamin C in there. But the purpose of this video was to show you that you can get gold by using vitamin C. Can you see all the gold in suspension there? It doesn't want to sink for some reason. So I'll wrap this up now because I've showed you that you can get gold, and I'll just carry on and filter this and then test the solution and so on. So I hope you liked what you saw. Just a reminder, YouTube analytics tells me that 70% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribers. So I ask you, please, if you're watching this and if you're not a subscriber, can you please subscribe? I really need the help. I need the channel subscribers, and I'd be very grateful. So I hope you liked what you saw, and I'll be back soon with another video. There's no point in me showing you this gold and dried out and so on, because I'm going to need it for another video anyway, so I'm going to need to redissolve it. So I'll leave that there. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.